Hello, welcome back to Jeff and Paper Gary. It is Sunday, January 4th, 2026. Happy New Year, everybody. Sorry for the long hiatus from video posting and working. I've been out in Colorado in the mountains enjoying some family time on vacation for the last couple of weeks and have been taken away from the project. So back here in Norman, Oklahoma, ready to continue working and get cranking on this tail kit because it needs to get done and out of the way for my wing kit, which arrived right before the Christmas break. So I spent a few hours this morning doing inventory at an off-site location and making sure that I had all the parts, so everything arrived as expected and no damage or anything else like that. So everything was great. Appreciate that. So today we're going to continue working on the horizontal stabilizer. And that's going to be about it. We'll see how far we go. A couple things before we go. We'll do some unboxing and Christmas present stuff, right? So for Christmas, I did get a digital torque wrench. Ooh, digital torque wrench. So needed a torque wrench for one of the steps in the horizontal stab where we bolt some brackets on. So that was standing in my way from getting the job done. So we'll get that out of the way, get that finished. I also found this pneumatic rivet puller, which says BP on here. So it might be Blue Point or for Blue Pneumatics, I think is the name of it, which are supposed to be fairly decent tools. I found this at a thrift shop and I got it for free. So I have no idea if it works, but the lady there at the thrift shop said, hey, every time one of these things come in, we sell it and people complain because it doesn't work. So it may work, it may not, but it may be of sufficient quality that I can rebuild it. So we'll see, maybe we got lucky there. And the last but not least, the Starrett dial indicating caliper. So I had a pair of digital calipers around here. They only went down to 2 decimal points, which is not enough in some cases for us here. So I really appreciate these fine gifts from my loving wife to help me in my build. So all that said, let's get started and see what we can learn. Okay, folks, so here we are again, still working on the horizontal stab forward spar. And this goes together really well. No complaints really. Everything was going along smoothly until we get to some later parts in here. And so you'll see some more description about that as we proceed on here. I can tell you, after walking away from this project for a little over 2 weeks while I was on vacation, coming back and trying to remember exactly where I was and what I was doing and what should be next was really, really difficult. Much like flying, right? When you're working on your private pilot's license and you're taking lessons, trying to fly only on the weekends is going to make that a very long and difficult task. If you don't fly at least 3 times a week to let that muscle memory set in and let those lessons learned really marinate and take hold, it's really difficult to just pick this up, on a weekend. So building is not much different. So you saw there, it was kind of quick. I've got this sped up quite a bit because it's just long, boring video. Had to drill out a few rivets. No big deal. A couple of those didn't go in quite as nice as I had hoped them to, so I drilled them out and replaced them. And as you'll see, using the actual rivet gun. And me and the rivet gun, we're not great friends just yet. It was a little bit nerve-wracking. I don't want to say nerve-wracking, but maybe I was a little bit nervous in this piece. And all the rivets went in really well, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 that I drilled out and replaced, and they were fine. I drilled them out real easy, as you see me doing here, and then bucked them again with a rivet gun, no big deal. I will say I spent the extra money to get that very heavy tungsten bucking bar, which is really nice. Very small, but very heavy, so it works really well. And everything went from that regard pretty well. So a little bit better, feel a little bit more comfortable with the rivet gun. One thing that I will say, I don't know if I pointed out, I think maybe it comes later in this video, an issue with my dies that I was using for the squeezer. So got that taken care of. Just had a wrong size die. Thought that I was using the right die and was not. I was using one size too big, and I was getting a little bit of a mark around all my rivets. Not really a smiley face like you get when you're off kilter with a rivet gun, but just a little bit of a ring around those things. So no big deal. Took some pictures of that. Had a conversation with my tech advisor, and he said, "Yeah, that's absolutely the wrong one. Use the next size down." And so got that straightened out. So no big deal here. What you'll see here is an omission that I made when match drilling some holes to the spar, through the spar and into the HS0005 rib that you'll see attached there to the spar. In the drawings, if you look at section DD, there is a picture that depicts some measurements, some holes, and somehow I just failed to drill those holes in when I was laying these things out. I don't know what happened, but I went to go put this thing together, and the drawing once again showed me 4 holes when I only had 2. And so I started scratching my head a little bit and looked at all of the drawings, and again had a conversation with my technical advisor, who said, "Yeah, you clearly forgot to match drill some of the holes." So I went back to go do that, and this is where things went wrong. So I don't know if you'll see it just yet. Here in just a second, if you'll understand or notice what I've done, and then live action Jeff will be here to talk about it in just a second. Okay, friends, not sure how much of that got captured on video or not because I lost a battery, but another setback here in the garage. So this is the pitfalls of walking away from this project for 2+ weeks and then coming back and trying to remember where you picked up and keep things straight. What I'm holding here are the HS00005 ribs, and I had them left and right. I had them in the wrong place when I went and match drilled some holes to the front spar. So these don't line up. They are now trash. I do not want to enlarge the hole to a -5 rivet. I might be able to do that, but then I think holes are going to be a little oblong. I don't think it can be right. I don't feel that it's right. I don't like it. So the parts have been ordered from Vans, paid extra for expedited shipping because I'm getting tired of delays. I want these here for next weekend when I have a 3-day weekend for a build session. So learn from my mistakes, folks. Double check, triple check, label everything. And so that's that, right? We're gonna put these aside and go work on these stiffeners. If you remember, part that I messed up previously many weeks ago, they finally arrived from Vans while I was out. So we are going to cut these properly this time, hopefully, and get those installed on the rudder. So stay tuned. Let's see what we learn. So I blame being away from the project for a while as to what led my mistake, and that's really not fair. That does have something to do with the, getting in the rhythm and the flow of things and remembering exactly where you were and where you left off. However, this was just me not paying attention, and what I did was I put the ribs in on the wrong side, left and right, so the flange was on the inside of the skin, and I would not have been able to rivet it. The skin to the flange because there had been no access to it. So that was the mistake that caused those parts to be null and void, and in the trash they went. And so if you remember correctly, these are the ribs I screwed up before. So this is will be the 3rd set of ribs that finally go into this. Back to live action Jeff for some more work here on the rudder. Okay, so taking a look at this part to see how I messed this up the first time. I drew a couple of lines on here with the Sharpie and then measured 2D, right? So that's our edge distance. We want 2D, 2 times the diameter of the rivet, which this is a -3, so that's a 3/32 inch rivet. So 0.1875 is 2D. So I set my calipers to 0.1875, measured, and here's what I think happened. I just got a little aggressive, a little too aggressive with the disc sander when I was cleaning these things up. On this edge, instructions tell you to kind of cut that little chamfer in there from that little dot, that little indent to the edge. And if you do that and you're running that line, it's real easy to get just a little too excited, I guess, a little too overzealous with the disc sander and take off too much material. So it's a good idea to go ahead and mark these before you do this so that you have a do not cross line. So that's what I did here with my Sharpie. I put some general lines on there. I can go clean this up and take off that material, but I'll have a visual indicator to not exceed that depth. So hopefully that's going to help me not make that same mistake. And then, of course, right, making the same cut, right? The instructions tell you to take a taper from this notch here. Let's see if that's showing up. From this notch, right, down to the end. And I'll cut that as well. So I'll do a rough cut with the bandsaw and then use the sander to get down to a nice finished surface. Okay, so I very clearly recognize what went wrong the first time I did these. As I explained earlier, these parts come in one long stick and you have to cut them at certain points to make the different sized stiffeners. They are, of course, longer towards the bottom and they get shorter as you go up. And in the part, there are certain notches that match up with the engineering that you're supposed to cut these things to. So some of these things, the notch is near the center, and you cut from this little half circle notch in the edge, which you'll see here in just a minute, down to another specific notch that is cut in the part when it arrives. And I inadvertently just cut in the wrong direction. So instead of going from center or half circle notch to the cut point, I went the opposite way. And so when I tried to install these things, they didn't line up with the holes. So that was one of the two mistakes that I made. The other mistake was just being a little too aggressive on the disc sander and getting down to too close of an edge distance on the rivets. So you'll see here on the engineering, and I'll zoom in here a little bit so you can see it. There's a notch in the metal, and then there is this little slot that's cut out in there. And that is the direction in which you should cut these things, not the opposite direction, making them null and void. So there's what that little notch looks like. Draw yourself a blue line with your Sharpie to the slot, and that is the area that you remove. So, I drew the line on there. I take it to the bandsaw, cut those portions out. And I gotta highly suggest the bandsaw. If you guys don't have one, you're gonna need one. I highly recommend you get one. But I also recommend that you really respect that tool. With a metal blade on there, a metal cutting blade on there, it's pretty aggressive and it'll chew through soft aluminum with the greatest of ease. And so it's a pretty gnarly machine, but it does a great job at getting you close to finished product. So put yourself a little bit of margin of error on there, stay a little bit outside your line, and then use your disc sander to get it down to belt sander to get it down to final shape, which is what I did here, and then using the 3M Scotch-Brite wheel to clean up those edges, make them nice and smooth, and keep everything well-rounded and no jaggedy edges or pointy edges. So this all went really well. No mistakes here on these things, thank goodness, because I would not have wanted to order these things again. And they got installed just as they should. So you'll see live action Jeff take over here for a little bit of closeout section, but we are moving on throughout the horizontal stab build here, getting this rudder in place, and we'll be back at it here in a couple of days when I get the weekend time to start working on the airplane again. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. I will see you next time, and we'll hand it over to live action Jeff here in just a second. Hey everyone, it's getting pretty late in the day here, and we're at a pretty good stopping point. I need to get on with other life things like finding what I'm going to eat for dinner, but we had a pretty good day today. So got the stiffeners fixed. That was something that took place, I was looking at my notes, November 15th. So a little over a month to get those parts in. Now some of that was a delay for myself, of course, I was out of town, but got them cut, shaped correctly, clecoed in place. The next step is going to be to drill all the skin stiffener holes to a number 40 drill. So that's where we'll pick up next time. I'm going to call it quits for today. Thanks for hanging out and watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Really appreciate it. We're almost to 50 viewers, which
isn't a great big number for most YouTubers, but I never thought that I would have this many followers. So one more and we'll celebrate 50. Until then, thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate everyone. Hit some comments if you have any questions or anything, and we'll see you next time. Jeff and Paper Gary out.